Okay, everybody, game on. We actually have our next game coming up here, and on Concealed Hills, we're looking at Focus versus Hunter. Down to the bottom left, we have our Korean Orc player here, Focus, and all the way up to the top right, Hunter, the Peruvian player. Now, Hunter has a bit of an interesting story right now when it comes to WGL, because apparently he's playing from a wheelchair right now. I'm not quite sure what exactly happened to him, but I think I heard that he had some issues with thrombosis or something. He was at the hospital yesterday, and it was questionable if he could play today at all. But then earlier this morning, we actually got the news that apparently he still has some issues, especially where he's not really able to walk around or anything, but he can play, and that's exactly what he's doing here. I'm not quite sure how that's going to influence his performance. I assume that we're going to find out right now, but definitely not quite what you want if you're playing at a huge offline tournament like WGL in China right now. So we're going to see how much of an impact that's going to have. Hunter here with the Ancient of War already straight next to the camp, so we're going to see that traditional creep with one archer. Keeper still really powerful before that particular patch is hitting home, and therefore again the preferred choice for basically every single Nightelf that we're seeing here. And we have the Blade Master being chosen on the side of Focus, so no Farseer shenanigans or anything like it. Getting also the Voodoo launch in, so he is going to be able, or should be able with that, to at least get some pressure play. And a Scout already on the way now too. I'm pretty interested to see how that match is going to go. It's actually kind of interesting for me too, because it's not what we were supposed to cast originally. The original idea was that we were supposed to cast 120, but apparently he asked the admins that his game is not going to be streamed, and they said alright, that's fine, so there's no cast for his games at all, at least on the side streams, which is kind of interesting. I mean, for now, let's double check just how this is going to go. We have, of course, the creep already starting up. Keeper is going to get his first item and a bit of experience. And for the time being, we're having Focus also just trying to... Alright, yeah, lure the creeps away. For a second, I was just like, wait, yeah, a little bit of a weird moment there, but yeah, he's gonna just make sure that he's going to get the item here as well. Let's see if he's gonna be lucky. Yep, Gloves of Haste, not too bad for him, and we're having a Circlet of Mobility on the side of the Keeper. So both of them with pretty decent starting items. Stats item in general are always pretty amazing, especially also for the Blade Master, since the damage is also going to be figured into the critical that you have later on if you get, let's say, Boots of Khaldor and something along those lines. Cloak of Shadows, that's definitely going to be sold later on, but for the first night it definitely can still give you a little bit of an advantage. Right now the Blade Master already with the aggression sold the Town Portal, of course, and gets the kill against the Archer here. The Entangle is a little bit too late to have an effect, and already we're seeing Focus doing quite a bit of work here, taking the Archer down, getting some experience, and now his job is basically just piss off the Nightelf. That's pretty much the job description of any Blade Master if you play that against Nightelf here. So he's gonna try and do exactly that. In the meantime, we're having already the tier 2 tag for Hunter, and Focus is doing the exact same thing as own base, adding the second and third burrow here as well. Keeper already losing a bit of HP. But it's of course you always walk that little bit of a tightrope where you want to be active with your Blade Master, make sure that you stop your opponent from creeping, but then you also are trying to look to at least get a bit of experience yourself, either by getting last hits in through the Windwalk, or you're trying to just simply creep with a couple of grunts, move them back into your base to heal them later with the healing salves, or you're just going for smaller camps. But right now a cancel on the Moonwell would already be a pretty sweet start for him too, and that is going to be an eventual cancel for sure. And yep, there we have it. The Wisp for now at least survives. Blade Master still has 2 healing salves in the inventory, has also at the same time the Dust of Appearance, so he's going to be fine. Keeper on the other hand is attempting to get a little bit more annoying down here himself. Another set of Dust of Appearance, by the way, for him too. So it makes it a little bit easier for him to start a creep later on, especially on more important camps, so that he can use the Dust to make sure that there's no Blade Master lurking around trying to secure the kill or the item. Gets 1 P in here, but also a bit of trained experience that's going to end up with a Blade Master all the way up to the top. So both of them starting to be a little bit more aggressive with the stance on the map, but we're already having units moved over to make sure that Hunter can creep a bit more here. So player from Peru here trying to go for another camp. Blade Master still with the aggression up to the top right. We have currently 27 supply for Hunter, and we're seeing for the play for Focus 30. And another cancel that's eventually going to happen here. With the Keeper nowhere nearly close to this, the Hunter's Hall is going to be cancelled, and that's starting to become super annoying for Hunter, because now his tech is even delayed more. He has the Tree of Ages at least completed, but that's definitely not the spot that he wanted to be in. And as already predicted earlier, we have now the solo creep on the side of the Grunts, making sure that they're getting a little bit more experience for the Blade Master. Hopefully, of course, adding to that level 2 that we already have. Critical hits are now going to be coming in from the first hero on Focus side. And on the side of the second hero, we have the Alchemist chosen. It's pretty much a standard combo that we're seeing now for Hunter. Going straight into that early Keeper, having the Alchemist to come in. Alchemist in general is just great to put pressure on the individual units or heroes during team fights. You have the Chemical Rage. You have also anti-air capabilities that you can utilize if your opponent is making some weird move there. And in terms of items, we're now getting the Circlet right away. But, of course, the Blade Master still around it. This is really where the Dust of Appearance is going to come into play. But also the Shadow Hunter. And the Hex can come in here as well. Already the Scroll of Speed being used. Good entangle though. Nice pressure against Focus. Blade Master needs to be a bit careful. Tries to still get the kill against the Archer and gets it with a really nice crit coming out of the Windwalk. Another Hex coming down here on the Keeper, but that should still be an entangle, and yes, he gets that quite easily, and that should be a dead Grunt if he continues with the focus fire here. Even keeping the Alchemist a little bit out of range to make sure that he's not losing too much HP here. So the level up on the side of the Keeper now too. And this is really the big problem if you're playing Orc and you're going up against a Keeper, that your units are just worth so much. And these end snares, these entangles, they hit hard. He's gonna get that Grunt for sure, but also the Alchemist is low, not passing the town portal over, and that Hex should confirm the kill for sure. Entangle comes in, but I don't think he can save it. The hits are coming through, and that Shadow Hunter is delivering the kill. Kills it himself, actually. Denies the experience here to the Shadow Hunter. So Hunter with a really nice play there, but he needs to be careful that his Keeper is not going to be in trouble himself. Level 3 right now on him. Blade Master still moving through, gets another Archer and takes that down. Focus with the pressure at this point. And 28 supply on the side of the Nightelf, focusing now on a couple of glaive throwers as well. Ancient of Wonders coming in, reviving also his hero, having the Hunter's Hall in play, and gets also the upgrades as well for the glaive throwers. But let's take a quick look at what we're having in the main base of the Orc. Pretty standard for now. Torrent Totem gets the adept training for the Spirit Walkers, getting the Raiders through as well. So pretty standard combo that we're seeing from him here. And still the creep attempt on the side of the Nightelf. Luring those creeps into the base, locking them down with the entangle, and trying to get the experience here. As already mentioned before, Dust of Appearance being used to make sure that there's no item stolen away, or that there's no no experience being lost. But this is definitely one of the approaches where you can now start to get that level 2 for the Alchemist. Focus isn't really to think about the attack just yet. Like, he still wants to make sure that he has his own heroes on the next level. So trying to get a few more items, getting access to the shop here as well, so he can buy a bit more. We have the traditional second Circlet of Nobility now too for the Blade Master. It's all about that stat advantage. And nice Scroll of Healing and the Potion of Greater Mana. That in particular is of course just absolute money. Getting a Greater Mana potion here for any of these heroes is absolutely fantastic right now for the Orc player. Gets the additional Hex through later on, or the Healing Wave, and that's really going to help you in the big team fights. Do we have another Dust? We actually don't. Found actually a Health Stone here, and the attack is on. The shop immediately being targeted, and we have a nice ensnare, nice entangle on the side of the glaive thrower in the back. But now the Blade Master has to be cautious, has to be really careful. That could actually be a kill, and he barely gets away. Oh, really sad news for Hunter. That would have been a fantastic kill for him if he could have gotten the Blade Master there. And it was just one hit from taking him down, but it did not quite work out. Wisps are coming in now too. Blade Master needs to be really careful, and here comes the quick move away from the Keeper, actually committing even to the town portal to save his units. Another glaive thrower has been lost here. Potion of... Wait, what? Potion of Healing on the ground. Yeah, I guess he forgot something there. Alright, that makes a little bit more sense right now. Must have misclicked as he was trying to pass it over to the Blade Master with the Shadow Hunter, but that could have been a bit annoying if that happens during the fight or something. Wasn't quite the case here. Still one of the Agent of Wars going down since they lured the creeps over a bit earlier. We have currently 46 supply for Focus, and looking over to his opponent, only 30 supply for Hunter, and he's really struggling in this setup right now. Still trying to defend his base here, especially the Moonwells are now under attack by the Raiders, and that extra siege damage is doing solid work here. Good dispel against the Entanglers. The Blade Master is put under pressure once again, but no consequence just yet. The Chemical Rage allowing once more him to move a little bit farther forward to try and drop the Raider here. The Entangle is good, but the immediate dispel through the Spirit Walkers is there too. One of the Spirit Walkers, though, not really making it. It's always kind of interesting to me when you think about like any kind of unit and you have a glaive thrower against you and all of a sudden you see these massive shurikens just shreddering towards your face, and that Spirit Walker definitely had a bit of a bad day there, just splattering into a pool of blood, and that's about it. Good micro here from Focus. He was about to lose actually one of the Raiders here. If that Augur Magic guy would have gotten a few more hits in. But it's really a bit of a tough game now for Hunter, because we have level 3 in the Blade Master with even a potion of greater healing right now. It's going to make it really tough to take him down later. That Scroll of Healing hasn't really been used by the Shadow Hunter yet either. I didn't really see the need to do that earlier. And he's looking at an upgrade or level up in just a few seconds. Having that level 3 is going to be absolutely awesome for them. But yeah, let's see how Hunter is going to play this. I mean, at this point in time, there's really not too much that he is going to be able to do. Oh, that's actually, I mean, gets the Rune Bracers here. Alright, that's of course prime item if you're going up against an undead player. The problem is if you're going up against an Orc, it's not really too useful. So he sells it instead and gets the Town Portal in, which he's definitely going to need pretty soon, because we're already seeing Focus looking on the map where his opponent is positioned, and he's going to get that creep check eventually. That's just a question, can you take the Orgalord down and get at least the item, because that Blade Master already knows what's coming. And he is going to move in. One glaive is going to go down pretty soon. Hood of Cunning actually is going to be the item here, so at least useful for the Keeper, but the Town Portal has now to be used. It's really one of these things where you are trying to make sure that you always have a Town Portal with you if your opponent has Raiders around or has that Hex and can force you into a fight that you might not want to take. But it's of course also a bit of a money sink if you have to rebuy that thing over and over again. But he got at least the big one, the big creep here, and then was able to get the item too. So that helps him a bit with the stats on the side of the Keeper. In the meantime, though, just look at that Blade Master. He might not really have the damage output through Claws, but he has still the stats advantage with the +4 here. Has the Gloves of Haste, and then you have a Potion of Greater Healing at your disposal, and a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability that he got at the shop. Dealing with that Blade Master is going to be a nuisance. Right now, it's not going to be the scariest thing in the world, as he's only on level 3, but once that bad boy hits level 5 or higher, he's just going to be a huge pain in the ass. And on the other side, the items are just not on the same level here. He's trying to make it so that at least this key... Oh, that was a bit of a waypoint problem here, right? Double Spirit Walker in ethereal form here right now. But he's still creeping down to the bottom. Let's see what item he actually got. Where's that Blade Master? I think he snagged it up. I must have sold it, going for a tiny Great Hall here, so Focus is absolutely dominant right now. Supply is actually fairly even, so if at any point we're going to see one of those hero kills, that might be a bit of a different story here. And keep in mind, it was actually a really close call earlier, as we saw that Blade Master nearly fall. The thing is, I just don't think that Hunter is going to get the same situation again, considering the items that that Blade Master currently has. Level 4 at least for the Keeper, and we have the level 3 for the Alchemist, so that's going to be at least a huge help when it comes to that. +2 attack upgrades, by the way, on the ranged units here on the side of Hunter, but we are seeing Focus now take the complete map. I mean, he's really starting to take more and more of the creeps. The Blade Master is about to hit level 4, the Shadow Hunter is already level 3, so he's at least matching the hero levels that we're seeing on the Nightelf player. Down to the bottom of the map, we are already having the expansion here as well. And let's double check how... I mean, these two Spirit Walkers are just scouts at this point and really, really pissing him off. Dispelling the Entangle immediately, but yeah, Focus is just confirming the entire time where the army of his opponent is with the Spirit Walkers. So it's basically like a... It's not quite an Undead Shade, but it's pretty similar to that. and that allows Focus to just creep whatever he wants on the other side of the map. So he has perfect vision of what's happening with the Night Elf army and reacts to it quite well, making sure that he gets more experience for his units and just moving over the entire time. Got the Helm of Valor here, hands it over. That's of course even more agility, +8 now, and keep in mind what I said earlier. The stat boost that he gets translates really well into... Ooh, that was a good one. Translates really well into the critical damage too. 70 supply for Focus, and Hunter is currently sitting on... Not so sure about that. Hunter is currently sitting on only 40-something, so 43. Now we have a couple of Wyvern in play, but that snipe against the expansion was actually really great. The expansion not really playing off completely for Focus here, but still his army size is absolutely insane. And Town Portal again being used to move back to the main base. That's the third Town Portal in this game that he already used. And now Focus is just starting to harass him as much as he can with the Wyverns and committing to the attack as well. His supply is really out of this world. Like, he has a massive army advantage right now, and it has to be mitigated somehow by trying to take down some of the key units here. Pretty quick kill actually against the first Wyvern. Another portal here, going for another Town Portal to reposition in the fight. Hunter is spending so much money on Town Portals here, it's actually insane. And at this point, he still has a really, really small army. And here comes the immediate move against the Keeper, trying to go for him. He still has that health stone that he picked up a little bit earlier, but now the Glaive Throwers are already gone. The Wyverns are still in play, and Focus is just overrunning Hunter here. And with the sheer amount of numbers that he can field, he will drop him completely. Very little chance of anything happening here in favor of the Night Elf. He's just getting absolutely demolished, down to 19 supply against 50. And there's the GG as Focus takes game number 1 in the series. Game number 2, Hunter on Twisted Meadows going up against Focus, and right now the Orc player from Korea is in the lead, has the 1-0. We have cross map right now, with Altar of Eldars being dropped immediately by Hunter. He had a bit of a rough game here for sure. First he got unlucky when he couldn't get the kill against the Blade Master. That could have been definitely a kill confirmed by him, but it was a bit unfortunate. From Focus perspective, it worked out perfectly well, #calculated. But when you look at Hunter, he must have been a little bit pissed in that instance. One of the big problems for him was definitely that he had to use so many Town Portals throughout the game. He used 4, so it was a huge money drain for him, being forced into fights that he just never really wanted to take. The one moment where you could see maybe a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel was when he, with the Glaive Thrower push, could take down the expansion of his opponent, of Focus. But then again, the army was already way too big that we saw for Focus, and there was just very little that he could do with that. So again, with the hero choice, we're going to see what exactly Focus is going to focus on right now. No pun intended. And very likely, we're going to see Farseer for him. Farseer allows you to go into a lot of a fast attack. It allows you a lot of harass as well. And of course, the wolves, you have to be a bit careful that you don't give your opponent too much of an opportunity to just dispel the summons the entire time, since it's just extra experience in the hands of your opponent's first hero. So a bit of scouting going on. And with that, right now, at least Hunter knows exactly where his opponent is positioned, just through the timing when he ran into that peon. So he's going to scout that out, probably let the Wisp linger around a bit to see what exactly that first hero is going to be like. For he himself, what could it be than the Keeper? So still the Keeper here for him. And yep, besides that, let's find out how he's going to play this game. Because the strategy going into the Glaive Throwers here in the last game really didn't work out too well for him. If you play a timing around that, I really think you can do quite a bit of damage. But once that we had Focus, even with a shift into a couple of Wyvern, there was just no chance for him to have any lingering impact. So that Wisp is going to be dispelled eventually. He's going to try and hit the Farseer to dispel a bit of the mana, and actually gets that hit in too, but doesn't allow any experience to be taken up by Focus right now, which was the main thing for him, at least at this point. The Keeper already a bit more aggressive here. I mean, you have to consider that the Farseer is, of course, a bit more vulnerable. So in an ideal world, you want to sniff him out. And yep, see at least where that's happening. And we just see a little bit of hero chasing happening right now. It's one of these interesting scenarios because you're always in a setup where you are thinking about, okay, if my opponent doesn't creep, then I don't have to either. So if the two of them are just playing a little bit of catch me if you can, then they're going to both be fine, because at the end of the day, both of them don't get too much experience. They're going to be happy with that for the time being. That's when you're all of a sudden going to see someone bring in extra units like we're seeing from Focus right now, as for example the Forest Troll Shadow Priest here. First of all, so that he can creep a bit more easily, and of course, if you have a mercenary camp on the map, and against a Nightelf that plays Keeper, you always want to go for a Forest Troll Shadow Priest, because he can easily dispel the Entangle, and that's absolutely huge. And that's exactly what we're going to see here in a second. Oh, no, kill actually confirmed. Alright, Keeper gets it. But yeah, whenever you're going to see that Entangle against the hero, for example, that Shadow Priest is going to go for an immediate dispel. And of course, it also gives you a bit of healing too, which is pretty good sustain if you're trying to get a couple of creep camps on the map. So that's going to be super important here for the early game for Focus. And Focus is so far just trying to make sure that he gets a bit of a head start with this. But we're having also Tree of Life now put into position on the side of his opponent. So definitely an approach where we're going to see an attempt of Hunter to get an early expansion into the game. It's one of the reasons why he's trying to just be a little bit of a nuisance here. Has also the Scout, of course, at the bottom of the map. Knows immediately, okay, my opponent is going to go into that early attack here. And what do you expect from Focus? He's going to head straight into the same composition, very likely, again, playing around the Raiders here, trying to get a couple of Spirit Walkers in. Very likely. It's super powerful for him. It would definitely work out here for sure. And while we're seeing the Keeper still harassing as much as we can, we also have, in the meantime, a couple of units produced here at the top, so with Huntress later you can start and creep that even without the hero if you need to. But considering how much damage the Keeper already eats here, I am pretty sure we're going to see him pretty soon head back to the base, just top his hit point pool up at the Moonwells, and then just like trying to play around that. So Focus dealing really well with this. The Keeper got a bit of experience, got a Wolf and the Peon earlier, but the Farseer is already on level 2 and is starting to bait the creeps out here to get access to the mercenary camp again. So make sure that he grabs another Forest Troll Shadow Priest. That's now the second that he has, and gets the Forest Troll Berserker too. So moves the creep away, moves in, gets the units right away, gets the Scroll of a Beast here too. Great for him if he can avoid being detonated by Wisps the entire time. He can maybe time even an attack onto that expansion once he knows what's coming here. And of course he's already about to reach level 3. Focus doing absolutely well here. We're having a bit of creep going on here with the Ancient of War and the Huntress, getting at least a Gnoll Overseer and the Circle of Nobility. Problem is that that Spirit Wolf is now going to head towards that expansion, but a quick Entangle is going to put an end to that Scout. It should, on the other hand, still make you a little bit skeptical if you're Focus, and he doesn't even get it. Yeah, that Spirit Wolf is still going to see what's happening, yeah. But even the Entangle alone is probably going to tell you already quite a bit, and you're going to realize there might be something. Actually, he didn't see it. Huh. He actually didn't catch that. I think that was outside of his vision range. So Focus at this point does probably not even know that there's an expansion being built. I think he just missed that. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he missed it. What he's not going to miss is that creep check that we're going to see here. And he's starting to move in pretty quickly with that, and immediately the Hunters are being pulled back. There's no Raider with this. That's a saving grace that we're seeing right now, but it's all about the item here. He grabs it, gets the potion, and Slippers of Agility are now in the inventory next to the Circlet, but again he has to use the Town Portal. Early Town Portal already being used, leaves the Ancient of War alone for now, and we have the Double Wolf also scouting the Tree of Life, and already damaging it severely actually. That Wolf check that we are seeing here is putting a lot of pressure onto that main structure that he was trying to put into place. And in the main base of Focus, we're now seeing the Beastery, we have the Torrent Totem, so it's exactly as you would expect here. Tinker is being actually grabbed right away. He wants to execute that push with the mercenaries that he has bought a little bit earlier, the Tinker, and try and go for a kill on the Tree of Life, and that would be an absolute disaster on the side of Hunter. Hunter has to take this fight. He can't give that up, and already the Tree of Life is in trouble, and once the Focus focuses on that, it's going to be lights out. Chain Lightning onto the Keeper, super low, has to retreat here, hits the level 3, but the Tree of Life is under immense pressure and is going to fall eventually here. And that's basically the first nail already in the coffin. That's huge problems right now that Hunter has to deal with. He's already down in the series with an 0-1. Focus has taken that early lead, and now he's also taking the advantage in this game as well. As already predicted a bit earlier, he used the Scroll of the Beast for that push against the expansion. Didn't even have any raiders with it, and now he can continue the creep. And it's just a disaster for Hunter. It's really not looking good. Again, we have to put it in perspective. He had medical problems quite a bit. He's playing, as far as I know, from a wheelchair here today. He definitely wanted to play, didn't want to forfeit his games, but it did not help him that he had to deal with all of that yesterday and couldn't put in the extra practice time here. And going up against someone like Focus, as strong as he is never easy. So Hunter, very understandably, maybe not in tip-top shape right now, but Focus just playing absolutely fantastic here. Harassing when he needs to, putting the pressure on the entire time, dealing very well with the attempted harass that we've seen from Hunter, and just able to creep his heroes quite easily. The Tinker now on level 2 as well, has a Parrot of Vitality. Forest Troll Warlord is going to drop an additional item here. And I mean, Hunter is going to try and get the last hit in, but he doesn't even get that. And now we even have an aura item with a Lion Horn of Stormwind for the Orc forces, so things are not really looking much better. The Alchemist, on the other hand, gets the boots of Khaldor, not quite the attribute that you necessarily want here, but it still gives you that agility boost that results in increased armor as well. 40 supply on the side of Hunter, 48 for the Orc, so right now, great position again to be in for Focus. Has the Kodo Beast now too, and the Spirit Walker. The one thing that we don't see for him with the focus that he had earlier on onto Mercenaries is Raiders. And that means he can't really force these fights as easily as he did in the previous game. So, for instance, the Alchemist with the army can walk away without any problem whatsoever. That was a pretty sweet surround here with 3 Treants, but unfortunately for him, we still have that Spirit Walker around, so a quick dispel already robbed them of most of their hit points. Tinker by now on level 3, Scroll of Healing in the inventory too, and things are just looking a little bit rough at this point. But without the Raiders, at least there's not as... well, there's one. There's not too many. You can at least try and pressure the Keeper a little bit. And I think, yeah, already the Pocket Factory in play. Dispel... This is the big problem. You have the Shadow Priests and you have the Spirit Walkers right now. Your Entangle is just not going to do jack shit. That's pretty much what it comes down to. He has 0 chance of actually getting anything done with an Entangle as long as those units still have, the spell just ready throughout the entire game. And the more Raiders are going to join that fun over the course of the next few minutes, we're also going to see way more of a dominant force for Focus on the map that can just force these fights whenever he wants them to. Ancient of War being attacked here. Hunter is going to lose that, and that's the level 4 for the Farseer as well. The Pocket Factory already on the ground, and Hunter, of course, has to react here eventually to this. And it's not going to make things a lot easier for him. Again, we have a couple of Treants in play, but keep those Spirit Walkers in mind, and the Forest Troll Shadow Priest. Already the focus and the dispel coming through. Here come the Wisps, detonating all of them. That robs nearly the entire army of the mana and at least the Farseer. But at the same time, it's still a tricky position. Here comes the heal from the Alchemist, trying to keep those Huntress alive, but it's still a pretty difficult situation. The Town Portal had to be used finally as a lot of the units were about to fall, but it's 23 supply for Hunter and still nearly 50 on the side of Focus, who even builds an expansion now here to the top right. He's doing everything right. He portals out just in time before the grunts are falling, but he's still able to take down several Hunters in the process. And now Focus is sitting at 47 supply and having Hunter on only 30. The expansion is being built and things are just not looking good. We have a +1 attack upgrade on the side of the Hunters here, but that's not going to do too much either. A little bit more experience for the Keeper, who's still on level 3. The Alchemist is on level 3 as well. He has at least one, he has a Sobi Mask now, but one Scroll of Healing that helps him a little bit. But if you just compare that to what we're seeing on the side of his opponent, it's just not really a match. The Tinker on 3, Kodo Beast in play, still already devouring one of the Hunters that he ate earlier, and now just without any worry in the world, creeping wherever he pleases to. Because keep in mind, this actually provides vision. Like, the Kodo Beast provides vision to Hunter now because of that Huntress that is being devoured here. But Focus just doesn't care, and why would he? He has a superior army, and he knows it too. And he's just saying there's absolutely no way you're going to attack me right now at the other side of the map. That just ain't happening. And he also has, of course, still a couple of dire wolves that are moving across the map, trying to figure out where exactly Hunter currently is. And Hunter is, as Focus already suspected, just trying to get a little bit of extra experience here. He wants to have that Keep on 4, he wants to have the Alchemist on the next level. Getting the heal in definitely works for that front line and gives him a bit of extra sustain, but it's still a tricky situation for him no matter what. And Focus, of course, is not just like sitting idly in his base and just waiting for the Nightelf to hit a couple of power spikes here. He himself is just creeping the map. The Farseer is soon going to be on level 5, and that alone is already going to be an issue. And Hunter doesn't know about that expansion either. So Focus sneaking that in is huge for him too. It's going to take a little bit until it's going to pay dividends for the Orc player, but it's already worth it. Level 4 Keeper, Alchemist is going to hit the next level as well. And, ooh, that's sexy. Getting Alaria's Flute of Accuracy here. So with the combo that he plays with the Hunters and the Archers, that's actually a pretty sweet item to find. Probably one of the best that he could have gotten here. Question just simply, is it going to be enough? Because the supply numbers just don't lie. 40 supply for Hunter, and on the side of Focus we have 64, and he adds Taurens to his play as well. Ooh, even with the Flute, it's kind of doubtful that it's going to make a big difference here. And again, he's on a clock too, because the longer this game lasts, the more this expansion is going to benefit Focus. Gets a couple of really sweet items now. I mean, we have a Pennon of Mana with 250 extra mana, we have Alaria's Flute, we have a Sobi Mask. So the item game is actually pretty strong for Hunter, but he lost so much already in the previous fights that it just doesn't look likely that he's going to make a big splash here. Pocket Factory already being dropped as we're seeing the play made by Focus. He's moving in, dropping the first Moonwell, and Hunter doesn't even have a Town Portal in this game. He's just moving back, trying to make sure that he somehow defends against this attack, but again, how exactly do you pull that off? The expansion is already running over here now as well, but this could definitely be the last fight of the game, and it all depends on how Hunter is going to play this right now. Intercepts one Tauren, that's already a start, I guess, takes that down, but can he really measure up against that army? And that's the big question mark that exists in this game. The 2 attack upgrades that we're seeing here, Glaive Thrower in the back, and here comes the move immediately against the level 4.5 Alchemist that we're seeing. The level 3 Shadow Wolves already doing so much work here. Invisible, getting the crit damage in, and Hunter's just on the run the entire time. And Chain Lightning rattling through the army. The Keeper a little bit lost here, if you ask me. I mean, that boy needs Google Maps because he's definitely on the wrong path. Trying to make it into the main base, and he escapes into that. But that was still him being completely isolated from the rest of the army. Another structure going down. The Entangle is hitting the Tinker. And look at Farseer dropping the Town Portal here. He actually manages to hold the attack off for the time being. 72 supply against 33 though. And still on a bit of a losing path here. He gets a bit more experience. But Kuvadis, where do you go from here? That's the big problem. Gets the Keeper through, but that was definitely a little bit Monkal. Lost a lot of units. And I mean, think about what we're seeing here right now. We're actually seeing an army consisting of tier 1 units going up against Taurens, against Spirit Walkers, against the Kodo Beast here. So pretty big mix. Tinker level 4, nearly 5. Farseer level 5. There was no real reason for Focus to risk anything. I mean, again, he's the one who has all the time in the world. His expansion is running. He knows the Nightelf doesn't have one. He's been scouting with those wolves the entire game. And he has the high hero levels, he has the income, he has the army, and all he has to do is continue trading blows with the Nightelf. And Hunter is about to lose game number 1 if he not somehow gets a pretty big hero kill in. That's the only thing that I can really come up with that might be able to take him over the time here if he can snipe a few heroes here. He's trying to start with the Tinker. Tinker on half HP, but it still survives. And here come the Taurens at the front. Hunter's already falling. Scroll of Speed being used for Focus as he's starting to make his way in. The Tinker hitting level 5 now, also having a Pennon of Mana in his inventory. And we're seeing 79 supply going up against 32, more than doubling the numbers of the Nightelf. And Hunter is losing more and more ground in this game right now. The Keeper trying to rush away here and try to spread those forces thin a little bit, but that's already a pretty small hope that he has here. Keeper on the run, the rest of the Nightelf stuck in the main base, and that's exactly where we're seeing Focus headed right now. Even taking a little bit more time here. and playing this easy. Lost a bit of hit points on most of the units here. Keep in mind, this time he doesn't play it with a Shadow Hunter, so he doesn't have quite that army sustain that we previously saw. And Hunter finally realized what's happening here, sees the expansion, tries to harass it with the trains, but of course focus, shifting attention right away towards the main base again, going deep, taking everything down here. And there is the GG from Hunter as he yields the field and focus takes the 2-0 victory.